오늘 정말 중요한 경기였는데 이겨서 정말 다행이고 이제 다음 경기도 정말 열심히 준비해서 이기도록 하겠습니다.
앞으로 일단 프로 5위를 노려서 모든 팀을 이기고 프로 가서 롤드컵 가고 싶네요.
남은 경기가 얼마 안 남았는데 네, 저희 꾸준히 계속 열심히 노력하고 있으니까 남은 경기도 좋은 모습 보여서 플레이오프 꼭 갈 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
다음에도 더 좋은 경기 해가지고 좋은 성적 내도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Welcome back, guys, to another fantastic day of LCK here live at the Nexon Arena. I am Valdez. With me is Papa Smithy. We're going to be jumping into a huge decider match. Things at least could be decided, especially if a 2-0 does come out between Afreeca Freecs and Hanwha Life Esports. It's a big one. Both of these teams want to make it into the playoffs, but only one can.
And the expression that SpoTV uses, there's a lock bridge only big enough for one of these two teams. With SK Telecom T1 now mathematically eliminated from qualification, one of Hanwha Life and Afreeca will make it to the wildcard. Who will join them does remain to be seen because the top four is also shifting around in the final few days of the season. Hanwha Life beat Afreeca Freecs in the first round, and the one result, we'll go over the possible result, but the one result that locks it in, if Hanwha Life 2-0 today, our playoff teams are set.
And wouldn't Hanwha Life love to get there? They would love to make it in after being upset the last time around. Good old Jin Air. It seems like they're just really coming in towards the end of every season and trying to take down all of these big teams, and they did it to the former Rocks Tigers. And, you know, now Hanwha Life, we'll see if they can actually make it in without being upset this time around.
Problem for Jin Air is, while they were so close yesterday, they didn't win, and thus MVP could actually move ahead of them if they win one of their remaining two matches. We're winding down, guys, in a couple of days' time. It's going to be the last matches on Thursday. The regular season ends and we get to playoffs, things abbreviated in Korea compared to NA and EU because of the Asian Games happening at the end of this month. Right now, it's the business end of the season, and while there are some teams with an easier schedule, some teams with a harder schedule, those schedules don't mean so much when teams everywhere are vying for relegation, playoffs, first place. There's so much on the line right now.
Yeah, I mean, we have this amazing matchup to start off with, and then you have Kingzone versus BBQ, and you might think to yourself, well, BBQ, they're going down to relegations. But actually, it's a really important match for Kingzone. They would love to get the 2-0 to make sure that they can get a higher seed in the playoffs, because you don't want to have to face other really fantastic teams in best-of-5s before getting to the top of that playoffs. It's really, really competitive here in Korea. And before all that, let's introduce our two teams. Going over to the left side here, the Afreeca Freecs, gonna be starting off in the blue. And after going to the finals of Spring LCK, they find themselves in the middle of the pack for summer. A little bit of trouble here and there along the way, and now they must win up against the Hanwha Life team. I know there is, you know, a very small chance if they do go down 1-2 that they can make it in, but they would love to just get the win and move on from there.
Mowgli will be starting once again, so Spirit out of the lineup. Recently, Valdez is a new trend, a little bit less experience, but Mowgli was in the team that beat SKT 2-1. So, gonna stick with him. I imagine if they lose a game, maybe it's time for Spirit again. Mowgli loving the Skarner and the Zac recently. Afreeca Freecs, they needed that victory over SKT because they've been in so little, kind of indifferent form is the way you would explain it. They're trying not to think about what happens if they lose. Like we mentioned, the 2-0 is the death knell for our runner-up team from even making it to the playoffs. If SKT and Afreeca both miss playoffs, that'd be a weird world to live in for summer 2018.
It would be weird, but this is the team that's trying to rewrite history of their own, getting the new sponsor in Hanwha Life Insurance coming in, making their own esports team on the former Rocks Tigers. The team, with all that extra money and all the extra support, it seems like they've been a lot more focused on the game. They've been getting a lot better, playing more as a team, I would like to say, and the results have spoken for themselves. They do need to close out the end of the season, though, before we can say that they're in the playoffs.
And that's the thing is, we said all the same things about the Rocks Tigers in spring of 2018, and they were basically there. We had Crown crying on the stage because he thought the chances of Gen.G, then KSV making playoffs were over, and Jinet, with nothing to play for, beat Hanwha Life, then Rocks Tigers, and eliminated them from the playoffs. So this team knows what it's like to almost be there, to be almost men. Today, they can take their destiny in their own hands if they can beat Afreeca 2-0.
And these guys facing off before, Hanwha Life did have a very good performance up against Afreeca. It was one of the roadblocks for Afreeca in this summer season where we kind of questioned, you know, where is Afreeca at? They were up against Kingzone in the spring finals. They looked really good there. What's happening here in summer? Well, Hanwha was able to shut them down that time around. But let's go ahead and look into the probability of advancing into the postseason based off of what happens today.
And again, it's talking about the 16 different outcomes, which are this team wins 2-0, 2-1, lose 2-0, 2-1. Should also be told that its weighted probabilities aren't being reflected here. For example, Afreeca play Jin-Air. That's going to be either easy or difficult, I imagine, compared to where Jin-Air is on the standings. Hanwha Life's next match is against KT, which is definitely going to be a pretty spicy one. So given that reality, as Hanwha Life, today's the day to guarantee things. Get a 2-0, actually get yourself to the postseason. If they 2-0, it doesn't matter what happens against KT or what Afreeca do against Jin-Air. Hanwha Life will be 2-0 head-to-head against Afreeca Freecs and thus advance.
Light your way to the postseason. We've been trying to find various cool ways of saying that they have very high vision score per minute, and that they do. They're very good at controlling vision as a team. You know, it's not just Tushin. And Tushin himself, I feel like one of the reasons why Afreeca has been taking a little step back. He was the star engager in spring, but maybe after some meta shifts and a bunch of bans just targeted at Tushin, he's been having a little bit more trouble here in the summer.
Best performing support in spring season by far. Good before Rift Rivals, but post Rift Rivals, I think Tushin has been in the bottom half of support players in Korea in terms of performance. We know he can get back there. Maybe he needs a signature pick like his Rakan to really get the mojo going again, but out of form is the right way to discuss him. Hanwha Life right now are technically ahead of Afreeca Freecs, even though they have the same game score, match score, because of the head-to-head. They are right now above them. They know what it's like to be able to be in the top 4, the top 3, but actually at the end of the season securing it is that last bit of business for Hanwha Life Esports.
Yeah, and you can see here that they had a much better round 1 when you compare it to round 2, where they already have 4 losses. That is because they lost to Kingzone, SKT, Griffin, and Gen.G, all really fantastic teams, but they were able to at least defeat SKT in round 1, which is where that extra loss comes from. Let's take a look at Key, the key player for Hanwha Life. He stands out with efficiency, kind of just saying that he's pretty good at a lot of different things, but he doesn't shine in one specific area.
I'm impressed with him because when he has to blind pick a non-laning support, like a Shen, for example, 8-4, doing very well on the meta stuff. But we also know that if you put all the eggs in his basket and let him last pick a support on the red side, he's had great performance as well. As our crowd is losing their mind for every player. It appears it's a good sign that we'll have some hype here. We're going to trust Keen, says the Afreeca Freecs, and show your thumbs up to the national player. Well, that's probably the nice hand gesture to show to the player here, but thumbs up is Linderang's thing. That is his meme, so he wants to put a thumbs up, but theoretically after a victory.
You know, for now, put your thumbs down if you're going up against Keen, because you guys can see the numbers. And if you're Linderong, you don't want to go up against this player, right? Keen just dominating in the top lane. He's been one of our best, if not the best, amongst some of the other players that have been struggling a little bit. You know, Khan not as just clean as he has been in the past, and being subbed out a couple times by Rascal. It kind of makes it interesting up in the top lane, but let's get into the games right away. Jumping into pick ban for game 1.
All right, we're really in there now. We had some transient stuff going. There's some translucent champion select. Now we got the champions coming through. And the first ban going to be the Morgana on blue side. Not a preferential pick for Tucson by any means, and one of Key's go-tos as we get this draft started. Banning away supports on the blue side is something Tucson has had to deal with for the majority of the year after his dominance. The Rakan, a very common blue side ban. It's actually 2 bans at Key already. Tom Kench in Korea has increased to a first pick, first ban status, with some of the other must bans like Nocturne falling away.
You know, honestly, in my opinion, I like when Tom Kench gets banned out, because I feel like he's kind of anti-action, you know? If you catch someone, the Tom Kench arrives there, Abyssal Voyage, or he's just there, gobbles the person up, devours him, and all of a sudden you're missing a kill, you're missing a play at an objective. So just in a selfish point of view, I like when he gets banned away. And it does make sense in the current meta. Shen also going to be taken off.
Look at this Yasuo ban as final ban against Afreeca. It's no longer an aiming ban. It's Kuro's 2-0 on the Yasuo. And some of our mid Yasuos have been performing really well. There's some Linderong fans in the audience.
Picture of Sangyun on the right as well. Just shouting them all out. And you were mentioning Rakan. Well, you leave it open for Tucson. Not sure about that one, to be honest.
Now, what I want to see on the side of Hanwha Life is a responding Varus pick. Some teams would steal away Xayah. Sangyun's a good Xayah, so you could understand it. But Varus against Xayah Rakan is very powerful. It's 2-0 for Sangyun, and it's been aiming's best champion as well. So I think getting the Varus first round would just be a win against whatever Afreeca Freecs wanted to do with their duo lane. I would understand contesting the Xayah. We'll wait and see, as there's another one of those Key fans.
Doing the Key hand signal before. It says Master Key, the headband that she's wearing. No Master Yi at the bottom side, but Leona being hovered right now, and it's going to be locked in.
A compositional answer to the Rakan. The moment you see Rakan, it's not a flex champion, you know that Leona can follow with the Zenith Blade through the battle dance. That's why we see this pretty commonly. So they're not actually indexing onto the Varus. Let's see if Afreeca just go for the stock standard Xayah Rakan, or they try to take away the Varus. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Gragas priority for jungle Gragas way up. We had the, I guess, 2-week meta of top lane Gragas started by Keen and Rift Rivals. Outside chance it's returned to, but realistically, probably going to be a Mowgli pick in the jungle.
Yeah, the Gragas, just in general, you see a lot of good things recently for engaging, but also disengaging with the cask. Someone gets jumped on, you can throw that cask on in, get the scary men away, all that good stuff. Thinking about a Xayah pick here to go along with Rakan, but they switched to Ezreal.
And this is maybe Jhin territory again for Sangyun, because Sangyun already performed on that Jhin last time out. He's smiling, he's saying, Jhin would be pretty good here.
He's smirking.
See if they actually commit to it. Doesn't seem like a first round is necessarily going to be the way. Ryze is becoming a first round mid laner blind, and this is into typically really tricky matchups like the Orianna, because Ryze with Time Warp Tonic and just starting Corrupting Potion is getting through a lot of tricky lanes. Just get a Dark Seal, you try to regen your way through, and then you have pick CC aplenty. Suddenly Trundle says, man, I got some good lanes to gank right now with Leona and Ryze already selected. Going to ban away the Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz Orianna would be definitely a pretty standard 2 bans to open up the Ryze in mid lane.
Yeah, like the idea. Has a lot of utility. We were talking about the Realm Warp and what you can do on the map, but also just gankability in the lane, and even just really nice burst damage as the game does go on. If you can 1 or 2 combo some of the squishies if they get near you. Even the tanks have to be careful. So Callista going to be banned again. It's shown up so many times now as bans nowadays.
Old Sangyun favorite. I remember last year you looked at his solo queue and it was something like 80-20 in Challenger as Callista, and you're like, holy crap, 80% win rate. One of his old favorites, but remember, there's Jhin, there is the Varus, and there's the Kalista that can all be selected into this Ezreal lane. So all of them available, meaning that 2 bans not going to be enough. Zoe going to be banned away here.
Yeah.
Just a very confident pick for Kuro. He's played a lot of it. I think his Swain has been more impressive, but Afreeca Freecs haven't been leaning on the Swain as much as maybe their win rates earlier in the season would dictate.
They're watching some Bjergsen last night and his domination on the Zoe. They don't want to see that happen again. Zoe, when you start to pop off, it definitely looks pretty OP, and was first pick territory for a long time here in summer, but has fallen down a little bit. Thinking about a Heimerdinger here. Is Songyun gonna hover it at least?
I think they're just playing with our hearts. Songyun the only person to play. I think the Jhin is such an obvious pick here. It suits the draft. It's strong into Ezreal. That's when Korean AD carries really do prize the Jhin, and it would give them just the most lockdown. But do consider, okay, this does change things. Could have just selected some tanks on the side of Afreeca, a Galio, for example, and then Jhin might run out of damage. They go Kai'Sa instead. And want to get through the lane. Ezreal not going to punish the Kai'Sa. So Kai'Sa Leona, very risky 2v2. The Killer Instinct, the Leona, you're only going one way. So a lot of aggression in those picks. Got to be a blind pick for top lane. Keen been rocking it on the GP recently, but the GP banned away by Afreeca Freecs. Will we just get Gnar versus Kennen for the upteenth time in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the top lane has become a little bit stale. You see Gnar, you see Kennen, you see Cho'Gath, a little bit of Ornn. Gnar is just the best blind pick nowadays, so it's kind of what you're going to get. What is Kuro going to pick into this Rise, though?
LeBlanc would be a spicy one. It's a matchup that's slightly better for LeBlanc, given that we have the 2018 LeBlanc going. He sees a Kai'Sa, who's pretty short range, and 3 short range champions, and he's going back to his Anivia. Played this at Rip Rivals to a loss, also lost on it recently. Compositionally, a pretty good spot for the Anivia. But Anivia, Gnar, Ezreal, not the highest damage team ever. Let's see what Hanwha Life decide. Looking for a top laner into the Gnar. A lot of the common picks are available. Jace available, Kennen available. Could also go Cho'Gath if they want another tank. They're going to go the Kennen.
Yep, Kennen is back in the meta. And I'm really just curious what this Anivia is going to do. You know, it's no secret. I really love the Anivia. But when you're going up against Leona, if Key is on point, it can be kind of hard to get your ultimate down very consistently in a team fight because, I mean, you're going to have Trundle into your back line trying to pillar you. You're going to have a Kennen trying to flank you, depending on what build he goes for. And Leona, of course, with all of her CC, can really lock the bird down.
Does feel like almost every time the cleanse is open, you throw a Solar Flare and you get an Anivia cleanse. It's the reality of being a fairly plodding, slow control mage against a long-range engage coming through from the Leona. Let's see what flavor of Kennen it is. On hit is probably going to come through here, but just more reliability. But AP would be another way to make Anivia's life no fun. Remember Kuro trying to put down that Anivia wall, and then the 5-man Kennen ultimate from Tal in that Afreeca Freecs vs SKT series. That was only a few days ago. Seems like an eternity because of the way the wheels have been turning here in Korea. Afreeca Freecs versus Hanwha Live. We should have 5th place decided by the result of today's series.
Should be the way it goes down. It's a huge series. We're expecting a 2-1 either way. Kind of leaning towards Hanwha Life myself, but Afreeca, you know, they've been kind of back and forth, and if this is a good day for them, I think they should be favored, but kind of putting my eggs in the Hanwha basket. Really anything could happen here.
I just want to get into it, see if Sungwon can trundle in a good way or trundle in a bad way. This man role plays Trundle, whatever champion he's playing.
Sungwon definitely a big favorite in the Trundle. We were talking a lot about the Leona, but the first pick for the Trundle was just, you know, it speaks Sungwon to you. I don't know if we'll ever see his Elise ever again after the last time we saw that one.
Maybe Tarzan should put that one on the bench as well.
Yeah, just kind of sit that one down. Don't really need to see the Elise, not in this meta. Maybe next year, maybe after some switches up. But guys, the countdown has started. We're ready to get into game number 1. So let's do that right now. Afreeca versus Hanwha Life.
소환사의 협곡을 의심하겠습니다. 환영합니다.
haven't cast until last Tuesday, since last Tuesday. We're already here at match 83. We're almost done with the regular season. Feels like it's sped by with 6 match days a week here in Korea.
Game number 202 is Hanwha Life versus Afreeca. We're talking about best of ones. North America slowly plodding their way towards 90. That's how many they have in an entire season. We've had 202 already, and I'm excited for this one because it does mean so much for the standings. Feels a bit like Christmas when the last 4 match days of the season come through. You're seeing every team play twice, and when everyone has something to play for, with the postseason fast approaching, Afreeca and Hanwha Life, they want that 5th and final spot in the gauntlet.
It's a big one. I know there are probably some SKT fans out there that didn't see Papa Smithy's tweet, but yes, SKT, they are officially out of it. It's going to be between these 2 teams to decide who takes 5th place in the final playoff spot. I believe SKT still have a chance at the World's Gauntlet, but in terms of this summer, no can do for them.
And let's talk about where the SKT fans are. Because I'm sure we have some SKT fans probably still in mourning after the loss yesterday, watching some LCK today, thinking about their lives. You guys are still alive in terms of Worlds qualifiers, but what you need is for Hanwha Life and Griffin to not make it to the top 4. So let's say Hanwha Life finish 5th and get into the wild card. If they win the wild card match, they actually knock SKT out if Griffin is also above them. So right now, after losing to Afreeca Freecs, you are now Afreeca Freecs fans because you want to see Hanwha Life miss playoffs, that's for sure.
It's so funny, too, because well, I'm going to hold that thought as level 2 is hit here by Key, just going for a favorable trade, not going to all in. But it's so funny that Afreeca was the one team that was kind of the team that always took out SKT, always had their number for so many seasons in a row. But now you got to cheer for them, as it seemed like they were kind of your rival team here in LCK for a while.
And that's why I've always loved leagues. You know, obviously in the start of League of Legends, there was a lot of tournaments, IEMs, and things like that. But leagues always have those standings and occasions. I love that everyone's looking forward and looking behind them and trying to understand, and that every match means something, even though match 10 feels so much less consequential until you reach match 84, and suddenly that loss really costs you. Songwon trundles his way to bot side. Remember, this Leona can follow Tucson.
Okay, going in onto aiming is going to flash already, and now that the Trundle's there for the perfect pillar, that's going to be the easiest first blood you've ever seen.
Red buff into Raptors, into Scuttle, and then bot side gank. Very nicely done by Songwon. The pathing from Songwon is usually the difference between a win and a loss. For Hanwha Life, they have a huge first blood percentage. They always have when Songwon's in the roster. Creative stuff, and if you're going to take the Leona, you best believe you're engaging.
I mean, Key knows what he's doing. You may think, why would you go for the Ezreal? Well, both of these guys are slippery. You just got to catch one of them while they're not looking for it. And even Arcane Shift and Flash is not enough.
And the thing is, whichever one you hit, it's the same mechanic. Whether it's an Arcane Shift or a Battle Dance, you will be in position to queue as Leona. Get the first stun in, Trundle does the rest, and Songwon himself still bot lane.
By the way, cleared out another ward. They saw that he was backing here at level 3, so they could expect not to be ganked, but just the thought of it, now that you don't have a ward, is not so nice.
And especially in the early game, when that Trinket Ward cooldown is so damn long, you don't have control wards aplenty, only one on the Ezreal. Losing a Trinket Ward can be the difference between missing some CS and potentially getting all-in again. So many different ways you can pay this off. Here comes Mowgli. He has to show bot lane, and it's such a small point. It's not something you would normally think about because nothing else happening on the Rift. The moment that your Trinket Ward is cleared, your jungler has to path bot lane because you don't know if the Trundle is still bot lane. You don't have vision you can put down yourself, and maybe you can't face check. So as Hanwha Life, you're able to go topside the map and know that that Gromp is definitely going to be there to be stolen because the enemy Gragas had to be bottom side.
Yeah. Pass to the bottom side clears out some of the vision away from Hanwha Life too, because we mentioned, okay, the flash is going to be down on Ezreal, but now both Kai'Sa and Leona have neither of their summoners, so that's just a little bit of extra worry for them. The lane was pushing into Hanwha, so there wasn't much that the Gragas can do with his own flash engage, but a little bit later on, once it pushes back, maybe he can return to that bot lane.
And Songwon will also be able to get the lead on the Scuttlecraft. Back at Spo TV, so at the top you will notice next to the 0 turrets to 0 turrets, there will be the Scuttlecraft counter, should be 2-1 with double control ward and the Gragas previously bot side, easily picked up by someone. Got the confirmations on hit cannon. We kind of expected this. No AP cannon this time. Kuro probably feels good about that, not wanting to have the replay of the Tal incident of a few days ago.
Wouldn't wish that on anyone. And you were talking about stealing that Gromp. Well, looks like the Prophet Papa comes back in as well. Sungwon, he's a pretty good jungler as well. Is going to be there to pick that one up. Actually, when Mowgli was right there as well, so steals it right underneath his nose.
And it's one of those things where it's just not a mechanic you really can employ so well in solo queue. There is going to be times where you find a kind of really high-level solo queue, Diamond 1 onwards, you will see people, if someone ganks bot lane, I'll steal the top side jungle. It seems like a really standard thing, but in unorganized play, you don't have the same expectation that things will follow a certain formula, that people will min-max their pathing, and also have to go down if vision drops around a duo lane. But at professional level, that's how things are. So I think that's why junglers typically do take the longest time to adjust to professional play, because while they certainly have the skills to be able to pull off ganks and clear jungle monsters, pretty easy, anyone can do it, the actual ability to impact at the highest level is much more of a team effort.
Yeah. I love Key's kind of swagger as he goes and just runs straight into the enemy jungle with his Moby boots that he picked up. With that early assist, is able to spot the Gragas with his face. Only gets one ward down over by the Raptors, but that is about it. But he knows exactly where the Gragas is, spotted down on the bottom side. Nice amount of information to Hanwha Life.
Songyun went boots 2 first, not going to min-max his road to the Stormrazor because he's already used Flash aggressively, wants to be able to sidestep skill shots wherever he can. Boots 2 rush, Berserker Greaves rush is kind of a Caitlyn old school thing that we see situationally in some lanes. Ninja Tabi rush against Xayah and Jhin, very common. Buff will be claimed by Kuro. Contesting blue buff, Season 2 strategies to shut down CLG EU, still very viable against Kuro on the Azir. I say on the Anivia, I should say.
Turns out Anivia hasn't changed all too much, so still very much blue reliant. And you like the idea there, especially because Sungwon hits level 6 first, and now
they don't know he's there.
With Ryze coming over, he's going to be able to spike that one away. Lots of damage already onto Lava, but Kuro is low on mana even with his blue buff. Looks like Keen gets the priority from the top lane after winning a little skirmish, and so Hanwha will back off.
And that's the good time for Sungwon to be AFK in a brush for a little bit. He gets the little steal away. Every other jungler in Korea would have revealed themselves earlier than that, but he decided to stay in the brush, had the smite open, gets the scuttle, continues to extend his scuttle lead. Nice little moment for Sungwon.
He was already level 6 ahead of the Gragas, but that's going to push him even further ahead. We'll see how he does want to move on with the little lead that he has gotten. No Tiamat for him, just rushing straight for the Cinderhulk.
Do notice there is no little lead in the top lane. The Gnar has been beating the Kennen matchup pretty significantly, even though it's seen as a traditional counter. We mention it every time because, again, this was a counter pick to Gnar until this season rolled through. Kind of feels the same way as that GP versus Gnar matchup. The GP was winning by the end and still is winning to this day. To me, it's about the defensive runes really opening up and being buffed over time, and also Resolve Tree Gangplank just not really losing to anyone. Why we see so many GP bans. Keen, one of our best GPs, had to ban it away from Linderong this game.
Guarantee if it wasn't banned, one of them would have picked it. It's just kind of the way things go here in League of Legends right now. Infernal Drake's start is going to be fantastic for both of these teams, so we could actually have some fighting early on. Already, little skirmishes for Vision in the bottom side river. So far, with the Rakan roaming up, it is going to edge toward Afreeca's favor down in this bottom side, but there is one ward in that brush that they did not clear.
Only issue I have with the Anivia over something like the Galio, they would have been considering Galio in this comp, especially if the Jhin was locked in by Songyun for another frontliner, is you think about where Hanwha Life are going this game. Had a lot of Ryze draws this week. It's AD Cannon. He doesn't want a team fight. 1-3-1 is very clear. They have good engage coming through from the Leona and Leona Trundle for any sort of 1-3-1. The 3 isn't so strong because Songyun's not going to be very strong when it comes to sieging, but team fighting. We know about 2.5 items onto Songyun on this Kai'Sa, and where this game is going to go. Kai'Sa needs time. Very much a champion where outside of a cheese gank, like we saw from the Trundle, just going to be farming 2 items, Storm Razor and Rageblade in the bot side. The fact that Hanwha Life are getting such a comfortable early game where Kai'Sa can farm it out, equal in CS to the Ezreal, compared to, say, a Galio who can increase the pace of the game, makes me worry that Hanwha Life will get everything they want, continue to take scuttles, and by the time Anivia actually turns on as a champion, by the time the tiers are fully stacked, maybe Afreeca Freecs doesn't really have a reliable way to answer Kai'Sa's threat as the game goes on.
Yeah, definitely feels pretty nice for Songyun, who, although he's not on Teddy levels of Fountain Laser, he's pretty damn good on some of these scaling 80 carries. We've seen it before. They're going to use that pressure that they have already, and also Tucson going back currently. Not sure if they saw that, but either way, they're just going to go ahead and take this Infernal Drake away. Was good timing from the Ezreal, slightly late, but first Infernal will go to Hanwha. Second one's going to be Mountain as well to make things even better for Hanwha.
You worry about the Ezreal comp. Every free objective that is given to a Kai'Sa comp when you have an Ezreal draft who wants to hit the ground running in about 5 minutes time. Pretty concerning stuff. Mowgli just top side, try to help with the pushing, but are they really going to try and gank this?
You know, the Gragas a little bit wide. He's a thick one, had trouble getting past the minions. And so just showing himself and says, okay, I'm going to leave now, down 20 CS.
It's a bit low percentage. Ambition likes plays like that, yes, but he plays around his duo lane when there's pressure to get free turret shots. That was just a straight up gank under turret. So don't know about that one against a flash cannon. Not inspired by that one, Mowgli. A pathing a lot better a couple of days ago against SKT. Still,
I mean, yeah,
going to have a happy enough time in top side.
You call it a gank. Didn't look much like a gank, even though that's definitely what he was trying to do. Can he replicate the pillar Trundle here somewhat that he got onto Gnar? We saw that actually once he first picked it. Decides with the Mega Gnar coming up that he is just going to go ahead and back away.
I mean, the job there for Sungwon was, don't really know what this Gragas was doing. Can I get some more information about where Gragas is? Was able to confirm he wasn't there, so therefore the counter gank doesn't come out. Sungwon will just return on hit cannon with a Berserker Greaves and a Vamp Scepter. Ain't going to be killing anyone, so makes sense to just back away.
Saw the build here from aiming. Went for the Manamune first into the Sheen. Delayed that. He actually got an early call as well. He was down on CS to the Kai'Sa about 5.
And he died.
He did die
so
too.
Got the vamp. Got the cull in very early.
Yeah, it's actually it's worked out for him a lot, even after that death, as now he should be ahead in gold on the Kai'Sa, although that kill might push her slightly ahead.
Mowgli's trying this again, so clearly wants to make something happen.
Good work. Oh, nice flash out of Linderon. Cass is going to be awkwardly thrown to the side, and here comes the response out of Hanwha. The Trundle looking to come up to the top side, but no can do. Just going to clear out some vision.
The vision was pretty even. They didn't have unique vision, so probably smart for Hanwha Life to not all in and find a surprising answer. Songyun and aiming both have their teleports down, and well, that was a pretty loud burp from Mowgli on the Gragas. That's definitely new. The last 2 patches, you know, the Korean sounds are way more pronounced. We're just lucky that we don't have to tell Nami to shut up because Nami's been out of the meta.
Also, it's not Hillbilly Gragas anymore, so it's just all the Gragas skins, I suppose.
Is there any way that you can burp in kind of a more classy fashion? It'd be cool if there was a different burp between Hillbilly Gragas and Gragas Esquire. But it could be like, oh, excuse me.
I don't... Yeah, you should. Oh, man. We need a gentleman Gragas skin.
Yeah.
I suppose this is the closest it gets.
It's pretty close. That one extra voice line, just like Gentleman Trogath has, would have been appreciated.
Yeah. I would have liked some extra voice lines, you know. The one that we got though is Rakan just non-stop talking.
I
don't know if you play a lot against Rakan or as Rakan, but he likes to talk. He's a bit of a chatterbox. We have him in this game, but is looking to actually affect the top side here. It's 2 on 3. Will the smite go over to Songwon? Yes, it will. But the knock up onto him and the double hit with the Gnar might be able to kill them. Lava, though, still alive somehow.
Songyun!
Here's Songyun into the back line, looking to go 1v3. 3v3, and Hanwha Life is sweeping up Afreeca like a bunch of dust right now. 2 extra kills over to the side of Hanwha Life.
Rift Herald, 2 kills. Songyun was watching Viper yesterday and feeling confident as well. Songyun walked all the way up and had the killer instinct to get there and truly commit. Aiming stayed bot lane, and Afreeca Freecs, during their scaling phase, are watching Hanwha Life run away with the game.
Oh, that's definitely a really bad feel. Can't even get the smite steal, and neither Sungwon nor Lava could die. They didn't have enough damage.
It looked so bad because Keen walks up and says, by the way, I've got my Narbar ready to go. But the all-in happens onto Lava and Sungwon. No one dies, like you mentioned. Cannon comes in, Kai'Sa flies in, already finished the Stormrazor. They're able to get 2 kills and the Rift Herald, so implied another turret to follow these 2 kills. Aiming gets nothing. Worrying times already for Afreeca Freecs and by proxy for SK Telecom T1 fans.
Yeah, you know, it is only game 1, but it's definitely that creeping feeling right now. And again, I mean, you were talking about that composition, the Gragas early on, Cinderhulk not going to have too much damage. The Gnar gets the big stun, but he's Mega Gnar afterwards. He doesn't do a lot of auto attack damage. Anivia right now, with only the Archangel staff, not even sure if she had it in the fight, barely even ticked down any damage against the Leona, who's decently tanky, so.
That's the issue, is you think about the champions, 2 tier champions. And we all know that tier champions take time to ramp up. Well, the enemy's got a Kai'Sa, who you really need to be punishing. Instead, the Kai'Sa team is punishing you. And the Kai'Sa getting a free laning phase and Songyun being AD carry royalty in Korea does bode very poorly for Afreeca Freecs, because even when Trinity Force Miramana is there, I'm worried about what items Songyun will have in response.
Yeah, Songyun feeling pretty good right now, 2-0-1. It was the awkward camera pan down to the bottom side onto Aiming, who had his True Shot Barrage available and was just kind of farming alone. Now Anivia doesn't do all that much damage just yet, so Key is going to survive for now. But look at the top lane, it's 3-on-2. Linderong going to come in, Key dies off screen. So far, just going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Sungwon actually in a bit of trouble here.
Nice
really
wall.
nice wall. That's been leveled up. He's going to use the Subjugate just to try to stay alive. He's going to be able to flash away. Here comes True Shot Barrage. He's going to hit him, but he survives with just under 30 health. He's going to live, but at least Afreeca can push the mid lane.
First turret goes to the side of Hanwha Life, but mid lane turret has so much value here. Trying to find pick on everyone that slowly 1 by 1 dominoes into mid lane. They're going to keep pushing. They won't be able to take the turret, but they do cause the team of Hanwha Life to back away. It's still a negative gold trade, but mid lane turret has a lot of viability, and I don't know if Linderong will be able to kill this turret. Doing a lot of damage, but not going to be able to finish it off.
Anivia has been leveling up her wall. That looks like it's maxed wall even first. I mean, maybe it's going to be second after the E, which makes a lot more sense, but I suppose she's just high level, 13. A lot higher than I expected, but man, he's already got a pretty big wall early on in the game, but here comes Shelly. She's angry that her team lost a turret.
That doesn't work.
Yeah, you got to do it sooner. Bug out the AI, so just 1 charge to get a little bit of damage up against the Anivia.
Mowgli's really low level, actually. I saw the Key was only 1 level under Sungwon as a level up, and obviously everyone else doing well. Reason why that's important, because you might say, oh, it's just going to be a barrel, it's Gragas, is you need frontliners when Kai'Sa is already popping. We were watching more of the mid lane play. Let's go back and understand this one. Oh, Keen was a bit too early on the sweep and taken down in half a breath by the Kai'Sa. Nice response in the mid lane, though. Sungwon fell so low. I believe it was 24 health. I saw 28 after looking up to the overlay. Ultimate clips him first. That's the maximum damage he could have taken, but just stays alive.
Maybe if he two-shotted Barrage right away, instead of adding an extra Q, maybe he would have just killed him before the health regen comes in. So, kind of unfortunate.
Notice a different build comes through from Songyun. He doesn't actually have the Q evolved yet because he only has 75 AD from the Stormrazor. On patch 8.14, guys, so the Stormrazor adjustments on patch 8.15 might be out in a couple of weeks' time, but the Hurricane already done. This is a build that was target nerfed many patches ago when the Supercharger no longer gets the full impact of every one of the little bolts coming through from the Hurricane. It is, though, already enough attack speed for the E evolve on Songyun.
It's going to be a slippery Kai'Sa. already early on in this game. Important to be slippery when you're up against Gragas, Gnar, and Rakan. Even the Anivia, if you can slip around her ultimate and not get stunned up, it's going to be important. So, like the build early on, is going to be scaling really fast. Lava here in an awkward spot, does have his flash, but there's Tucson for the knockup. It's going to be way more than enough damage as 5 members of Afreeca group up in the mid lane.
Really strange lane assignment with Lava in the mid lane, not on a 1-3-1 at all. Means that Afreeca just catch their man. Very easy to catch Rise in the mid lane. Nicely done by Tucson on his famous Rakan. It's now a very long lane in mid lane, which could be potentially something that allows Afreeca to get a Baron. And remember, Tucson, trademark Tucson style, does have the ability to take a second smite here with the Unsealed Spellbook. So Hanwha Life, right now, I think the lane assignment actually gets away from them. Why is Rise in the mid lane? It's kind of my query here. Much more obvious to have the Kai'Sa just with the Leona around mid lane. Leona putting down vision. I know Kai'Sa's not going to be sieging any turrets down, but neither is a Rise. So a bit tricky there from Hanwha Life and well capitalized on by Afreeca.
Yeah, you speak about capitalization. It was the other lanes weren't pushed in enough, so all 5 members were just able to group up there and go for the 5-on-1 gang in the mid lane. And, well, the rest of them were able to push the lanes. You saw that Linderong was in the bottom side, Songyun in the top side. Everybody goes back, a pickaxe and a dagger picked up by Songyun. Looking to scale even more.
Going for that Rage Blade next, you would imagine, now has the 100 AD, so does have the Q evolve as well. So that's going to be coming through. Interesting to get Hurricane first, but I guess going for an AoE build. Probably tells me he's flying into the backline even more than he already has. The vision game has been shut down a little bit. Lava was also exposed there in terms of vision, so now about vision fundamentals a bit, as the Baron is no doubt on the menu for both Hanwha Life and Afreeca Freecs.
Take a look at the gold advantage just after that kill. Did shift a little bit more towards Afreeca, but still in Hanwha Life's favor here by just 2,000 after 22 minutes. And, well, they have full control of that top side river. The only places where Afreeca have vision are just behind that one wall. And actually to the left of the mid lane, they have a nice control ward in there. So a decent amount of vision control so far.
And they also have the implied vision of Rage Blade the Rune King running at Keen, who has already started building into defensive stats. So they know that the Kennen will have priority on the Gnar. That allows them in terms of map movement and control to have a lot of options, because Linderong is built exclusively for lane and is ahead, and Keen is behind and also half and half. So definitely a very good 4-1 or 1-3-1 setup. Is that turning on to Baron?
They saw 2 backs.
Yep.
They saw both Ezreal and Rakan go back, and they have no idea. With the Mountain Drake coming on in here, finally the True Shot Barrage, and Kuro is here. But can he stop it? The smite should come in as easy as you'd like, and even if Sungwon goes down, and it doesn't look like he will, it's going to flash the wall. Everybody survives, and the Baron goes to Hanwha.
Hanwha Life are an endless highlight reel around the Baron. This is the team that pulled off that great vision juke. I was on Reddit a few weeks ago when Songyun teleported 500 units just to bait a pick. Now they just see 2 members back. Songyun has been credited as making most of the big calls by the end of the game. He's in the mid lane. They make the call to take it. Easy Baron for Hanwha Life, and a big advantage out of nowhere.
Super clean. You were talking about that Rise early on in the draft. Got picked 3rd on the red side. And, well, it's for stuff like this as well. Not just the 1-3-1, but the little tricky stuff you can do around the Baron. And, well, we just saw it in action there as now Hanwha Life, they were 3,000 gold ahead. Now they're looking to get even more of a lead and take down some of these outer turrets.
I think you really need Spirit for Game 2, whatever the result is, because, again, Hanwha Life can be so good and also so poor as a team, and to me, I diagnose it as, is Sungwon ahead or is Sungwon behind? When Sungwon is ahead, good things happen wherever he goes. When he's behind, he tries to sit in a brush and tries to make a very fanciful play happen. They often lose from there. Sungwon has been all over Mowgli this game, had a 2-level lead at one point, and Mowgli as a passenger has allowed Hanwha Life's game plan to fall into place.
Yep, we haven't seen much of the Gragas. Helped out with the one cask missed one on the top side after a good flash from Linderong, who you were talking about priority, is going to take down another turret 2 levels up on Keen, by the way. The Cannon versus Gnar working out really well for Hanwha.
And he has the I'm losing build of Thornmail second on Gnar. Must feel just awful for the Gnar. Frozen Mallet is usually the I need to be able to harass but can't build full tank. Thornmail is oops when it comes to how a game has gone. For once, Gnar and Keen is very much second. Hanwha Life finally going to take this mid lane turret.
Yeah, you know, even with the Baron, it's hard to push into Anivia at times, and well, Kuro is going to hold down at least one lane. That's going to be the mid lane. The top side, the Rise is doing his job. Linderong still winning the bottom side with his Baron, and things looking really, really clean here for Hanwha Life. This is exactly what they want if they want to try to roll this one into 2-0. And we mentioned it, guys, if they take the 2-0 victory,
They knock out Afreeca Freecs.
they knock out and they go straight to the playoffs. Look at the bottom lane. Keen's going to go nearly down, and Linderong will take another turret.
This is growing into a forest fire for Afreeca Freecs' playoff hopes. Remember, these two teams are competing for the 5th and final spot in playoffs. There are more spots in other regions. The gauntlet only provides 5. Afreeca Freecs on the full defense, and they look clueless, Valdez. They look like they have no idea how to get back into the game. Mowgli's probably worried for his life, even just sweeping around the red brush on their side of the jungle. And this Kai'Sa, well, she's ready to go. 26 minutes in, double Infernal, 3.5 items. You couldn't really be any more fed.
You know, it's kind of like that movie where the superheroes, they roll right under the door right before it's about to close. It looks like there's a small fraction of light coming through, but I feel like everybody on the side of Afreeca is too big to fit through that crack, as feels like the door is just about to shut here, Papa. Hanwha really putting it in the face of Afreeca and saying, come at us, we just destroyed you in game 1.
Let's remember, when they had that series against Jin Air in spring season after Gen G was basically ruled out, all they had to do was beat Jin Air, who had nothing to play for. They won game 1 and then ended up losing the series. Hanwha Life, previously Rocks, have been close, but no cigar. They haven't made it to the playoffs, even though they've been close a few times. Let's see if they can actually close out first this game, which right now they are massively ahead in, but also the series, because until you've done it, just like with Griffin and their theoretically easy run-in, bad things can still happen. Speaking of bad things, Sungyun is 2v3 here. Oh, it's going to be 2v5.
It's going to be 2v5, and, well, you already see Rise moving in the top lane, but let's see what Sungyun can do. Trying to outrun Keen here. Linderong is going to easily go down, and Sungyun just trying to delay this, wants to kill Keen as well, but Keen will back off. Tucson taking a lot of damage, but not able to 1v5 just yet. At least Lava in the top side, going to get the top turret.
Inhibited turret is of some value, but not worth 2 kills, and almost accidentally murders Tucson as he's backing away.
Yeah.
Gotta say, Rise does more damage than I remember.
He does. You know, he's already at 3 items. Sheriff's is completed. The Spellbinder, that's the name of it. I don't know why.
Stormrazor, Spellbinder.
Yeah.
Those are the items.
All right.
I also have the same brain
sometimes
fades.
your brain just fades out a little bit. But yeah, he's going to be fast. He can run at you, get that extra AP. And that's exactly what Rise wants. 4 seconds of burst damage. He's going to do it.
Not really sure why Sungyun flashed. He was definitely going to die, but seemed to want to take a 1-for-2 trade, end up being 0-for-2 and no summoner. Don't know about that one, but maybe not going to be the most consequential. Able to break the base, they back away. Extra gold in the game. Does get items to start rolling in. Aiming also went for a double tier build. I don't really know if he had the breathing room to do so. We're going to watch the replay. Ended up being a 2v5 as Kuro says, no, we're going to get these damn kills.
And that they did. I mean, Linderong here just, well, you're not AP Cannon. You wouldn't have done any damage even if you were. Sungyun, you know, just trying to get the highlight, right? He's definitely a guy who wants to get the highlight reel. Has a lot of charisma, that guy. Tries to play with confidence as well. Definitely not the right time to flash, though.
I guess the theory can be from Afreeca that eventually AD Kennen has to do something approaching a team fight, and that's not usually what Kennen is set up for. He's gone Lord Dominix. All right, Linderong. That seems seems a bit bold. I would have liked most any other item, but does mean a lot of Blade of the Ruin King damage onto the Gnar. I think that's too far in. I want to kill Gnar more. He's got a lot of armor. Look at my sick total percentage armor pen, but okay, Linderung, he's gone that direction. Does mean that he can still run at Gnar and have happy things happen.
He's just trying to, you know, give the thumbs up to the Korean national top laner in the bottom lane.
That's not an expression.
That's what he's been doing. Giving him the thumbs up. It's definitely been the Linderung show in the side lane so far. More like the Kennen show as well.
He's just running towards the inhibitor. He doesn't need a minion wave to do that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just put you guys on a timer as Afreeca. They're just going to go for it a little bit desperate here. They want to try to take the 5v4 on the Baron, but here comes the TP. 3,000 health left over, and the stun onto Sungwon. He's not going to be able to get in, and the smite is going to go the side of Afreeca. Looks like Mowgli is going to have to flash that wall, and Sangyu not able to get on top of anyone just yet. Lava's not going to take the Realm Warp. They just want to zone them out here for now. No stun onto Lava. There's the burst damage to Curl. Linderung's going to die in the back line, but here's Songyun. Wants to go 1v2. Should be able to do it. Key not able to take him out. The double kill and the catch is going to take him out in the end. But Lava going to clean up that backside. Only the Gragas and the Rakan left over to stop the push.
2 for 3 is the end result. I thought he'd just kill the inhibitor, but they desperately wanted to find the fight. They can't keep their marksman alive, but with these death timers, I'm not sure they can end the game.
Not going to be able to end the game, but easily should take 2 inhibitors. We are getting later on in the game here. 31 minutes left to go. And, well, you can tell that Hanwha know they're really strong, right? They're like, if we can fight, we're going to fight by any means possible, even if Linderung has to suicide for it.
But the way I look at this, I feel like it's a hindsight they made the right play. But actually, I don't know if they made the right play. I think you take the inhibitor there. You don't feel good about giving up the Baron, but it's against Wall. It's against so many tools to stop the Baron going down. If you're way ahead, you can make these sort of plays that are probably, what, like 30, 70 plays and still be fine because you were ahead. So on the one hand, we got away with it is kind of the way I look at it for Hanwha Life. But overall, I think the control play there is just take the bot lane inhibitor and look for a better spot.
Yeah. Well, Hanwha Life, they like to play it risky. They like to play it fast and furious.
True.
That's for sure. So
remember, he could have just been killing an inhibitor, and he says, "I'll teleport in" when the wall comes down, and he's not able to impact the fight. So they do get the Baron as expected. From here, it looks like it might just be a full disengage from the Afreeca Freecs, but there's a lot of chase. There's a Realm Warp. There's the Pillar. They are eventually able to pick up some kills, and a nice 1v2 cements just how strong Sungyun is at the end of the fight.
I mean, Linderung comes in
just to allow Sungyun to come in. He's suiciding as AD Kennen just to allow this to happen. There's no lifesteal on Sungyun, so actually ends up taking a while. Lava does a lot of damage, confirmed once again.
I mean, he was fighting an egg, but was able to kill the bird previous to that.
Teleport.
Okay.
See who this is. Gonna be Lava that's trying to push in. Ezreal gonna take a little bit longer. They're doing this because they're bringing the minion wave in mid lanes, trying to create multiple lanes of pressure on Afreeca Freecs. 2 inhibitors down. Also, the Drakes were super high roll this game for Hanwha. Another reason that you can be a little bit less thoughtful about your decisions when you got double Mountain, double Infernal.
Let's take a look at the damage there. Well, the Trundle and the Cannon did pretty much nothing. It was all Ryze and Kai'Sa, and that's probably what you would expect. Linderung is going to be best in the side lane up against Gnar, not suiciding into a fight just to allow his Kai'Sa to do damage.
And Afreeca Freecs, in a very unlikely fashion, just outthink Hanwha Life on the close here. Hanwha Life are still definitely set up to win this game. The Kai'Sa is now even scary. He's got a damn Infinity Edge, but he has no lifesteal in the build, only fleet footwork. Maybe there's a way they pull off the miracle pick and the Kai'Sa goes down.
No Zhonya's, no AP Kai'Sa, no real defensive items outside of the QSS. It's definitely risky. They still do have the Ryze to help out with that secondary damage. So let's see what they want to do. I feel like at any moment they might just pull the trigger. This is Hanwha Life after all, but in the end of the day, just trying to delay, and we'll wait until Afreeca have to go back and clear the wave.
Afreeca were lucky. They had already pushed out the top lane minion waves, so they weren't actually receiving minion pressure. You shouldn't be able to camp 5 members bot side when you've lost your top lane inhibitor, but that was something they were able to do. We do have on the left here those inhibitor respawn timers, so about 1 minute 40. for both of these. Not easy to siege for Hanwha Life. They have to threaten because they don't have the biggest range.
Yeah. The only thing they can really do to stop this clear is to get the pillar down. Kuro with his own Banshee Veil to start. But look at this. Kuro moves back for just a second, and they're able to come in and chunk down that turret to about half health.
Zeke's Convergence, Infinity Edge Kai'Sa. Remember that. If there's any free hitting, Songyun will wreck the enemy team in record time.
Level 18, of course, can just bounce into the back line and say, hello, I'm here, and you are no longer here. This push in the mid lane is going to get pretty funny to watch, as it is in Anivia. At least she doesn't have the blue buff. That's the one thing they have going for them. At least after, 3-4 minutes, they should be able to take this one.
But the brute forcing, as we can see, the backdoor bonus is there. Therefore, they're not getting any real damage in. Kuro's half mana, so the next time he goes for a Glacial Storm full clear of the minion wave will be the time he has to pull away. Linderung's alone, there's turning on him.
Okay, the flash on in, and Gnar is easily able to alley-oop that to his teammates. But look at that mid lane! Linderung goes down, and down goes the inhibitor as a third one gets taken away from Afreeca.
And now it's back to slow and steady, Valdez, because while they got the mid lane inhibitor that frustrated them, there's 25 seconds for 2 inhibitors to respawn. Hanwha Life will have to push out their waves again, showing that it is trickier to close a game when your siege options are Ryze and the Kai'Sa. The Anivia is great for game delay, and Hanwha Life, look, they've definitely taken some liberties on the game close. The kill score is even. The gold is 6,000 gold, but getting closer and closer to irrelevance when Ezreal has 6 items. We're going to watch the replay. Linderung is actually too early on his QSS. It's not a Captain Jack, it's just a Linderung.
Hey, don't do him like that. He's not that. Just a Linderung, I suppose, in the end of the day. But
he also might not have had QSS. Could have sold it also, but I think it was actually just a stun there. So sorry for the call out, Mr. Linderung. Thumbs up to you.
Poor Linderung. At least he has his thumbs up. But yeah, I mean, we've been talking about items on the side of Hanwha Life, but you take a look at Anivia. She has a stopwatch elixir, was popped, and 4 items. The Void Staff and the
They're
Merlin
getting there,
Omicron.
Valdez. We're getting some real items on these carries, and theoretically shouldn't have been able to get there. Watching Hanwha Life going for their trademark move, as we know, Valdez, the brush camp. They do love to hide on bush.
Yeah, it's double defensive item too from Anivia, the Banshees and the Seraphs. Can go into Azonia's too, if you want to. Has the stopwatch for now.
And Afreeca say, well, if we can make this a Baron game, maybe our inhibitors don't matter. Not the worst read, honestly, but can Afreeca outplay Hanwha Life?
Yeah, trying to force them out of the bush and off the bench. They want them to fight here for this Baron. It's going to go extremely low. The blue buff here going to try to go engage onto the back line, but Songyun, he is so strong. Look at that shield that he has on him too. Mowgli and King going to go down. That's a double kill now to the Kai'Sa. The Baron's still alive. They can't even kill it. And Hanwha Life is going to sweep them up once again. Takes the Baron too, and that might just be game to Hanwha Life.
Right call from Hanwha Life, and now interrupting as well. Afreeca Freecs had to make the play. Don't make it about the inhibitors getting split push. Try to team fight. They don't win the team fight. Can Anivia get this recall off? Songwon's best role here is to interrupt him. Will they do it? He doesn't interrupt him.
Doesn't interrupt him. Can Anivia stop the push alone? Well, the tower's disappearing. Kind of say no. Aiming going to be stunned down 2, and that's going to do it. 38 minutes. And that's going to be game number 1 going over to Hanwha Life.
Key actually taking damage as the Nexus exploded. Well, that was amusing, but Hanwha Life winning is very important in terms of playoff implications. They are now just a single best of 1 away. If they win game number 2, they are guaranteed top 5. They boot Afreeca Freecs, the runners-up from spring season, out of the playoffs, and they keep their dreams alive. Hanwha Life Esports, can they do it today before the last week of LCK kicks off, cementing the top 5?
And I just want to add, again, it has to be a 2-0, right? They need to win this next game. It can't just be 2 wins from them. And Afreeca, they're feeling the heat. That Anivia for Kuro not really working out. It delayed the game a little bit, but at the end of the day, you're going up against Kai'Sa, who was the the main person you wanted to funnel for this exact reason.
Kai'Sa was not last pick. It was first pick on the red side, and then they gave it a lot of breathing room with stuff like Anivia Ezreal as your duo of main threats. Kai'Sa had the draft of life to live, and by the end, Sungyun was leading a charmed life because everyone was trying to be on his case, but they didn't have enough damage to kill him. The shields were in position, and his damage was obscene. Wouldn't have been able to say it on broadcast. The naughty words would have not been broadcast friendly. Hanwha Life Esports win game 1, and now they can back this one up. The playoffs get even more interesting, Valdez. Hanwha Life will be making their debut in that arena.
They'd be debuting and they'd be fighting for a chance for them to get into the Worlds qualifiers instead of SKT if they won that wild card best of 3. And, well, scary for SKT, but it's close for Hanwha Life. They can taste it already. Guys, we are going to go to a quick break before we do get to game number 2. Join us in just a bit.